everything is on the table. It's Relationship Theory with Tina Laws.
Welcome back to Relationship Theory with your host, Tina Laws, and our amazing guest, LaWanda Ball. And before we went on break, we was talking a bit about, life after divorce and the various aspects of it. And so during break, we talked about a few things as well that we really want to highlight for everyone. And so we want to talk about that in between. You mentioned that, you blamed yourself. Okay, you're no longer blaming yourself. Being a people pleaser, right? And, we also talked about how in relationships a lot of times we tend to love others more than we love ourselves. So we find ourselves in these marriages or these relationships and we're pouring so much into them and we're wondering why they aren't pouring into us. Well, because we probably haven't taught them how to pour into us because we don't even know what that looks like. So talk a little bit about the day you woke up and realized, hold up, your first marriage, you wasn't communicating. Second marriage, you was over communicating. And the day you woke up and realized, I don't even know, what does LaWanda want? Or who is LaWanda? What do I want in a relationship? Who am I?
Well, as I started to say, the transition of people pleaser to people person, I always look at other people's feelings before mine. And I had to realize that mine comes first. So once I started to focus on me and starting to learn how to love me, like you said, what does LaWanda want? How does LaWanda want it? How is she going to get it? And once I started to do that, going to the gym, my first thing was weight loss, and then it was my career. So I started to do like courses for self. And then of course, my children. My children, of course, is always first. But it was like I had to look at, okay, what does LaWanda want? So with LaWanda now, dealing with LaWanda, loving LaWanda for who she is, and not who somebody expects me to be, that had turned everything completely upside down. So now it's learning and knowing and just being.
Yeah. And what does that look like? So once upon a time, it was he wants this, he needs this, he's probably expecting this, let me do it. Now, what does LaWanda look like? And, we often talk about our relationships with our husbands or our significant other, but this spills over in our lives, right? So you being a people pleaser, not just to your first and second husband, but being a people pleaser overall, and so how does that look to you now?
How does it look to me now is that I know how to say no.
That's a start. Yes, that's a start.
I didn't know how to say no because I wanted everybody to be happy.
Yes.
But now I look at my schedule. I look at, I write things down and I make sure I don't overbook myself because, sometimes being a people pleaser, you forgot that you said somebody was going to do this day and then here comes along somebody else and you're like, oh my God, who am I going to please or who am I going to do? So looking at that part of it, like I said, in scheduling and saying no, it's like, no, I can't do that, but I can do it this day, not today, but, just doing this simple things was like just taking my whole self back and being in control of self. So the self-love just filtered in underneath that.
So we talk about self-love. What really is self-love? We all learned that the hard way, many of us, right? Because we say, I love myself. And it was more of an ego thing, for other people. And it was more of a pride and more of showing other people how amazing you are, right? But what really is self-love, as it relates to moving on in your life, not just in a relationship with someone intimately, but moving on overall in your life? What does it look like to you now saying, I truly love me? What about you do you truly love now?
What I love about me is just being open and honest, being authentic yourself, and not, again, pleasing and saying yes to everything. No, it's, wait a minute. No, I don't like it that way. I like it this way. Or no, I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it that way. So it's just being completely authentic and not being afraid to speak up about what it is I like, what it is I want, and listening to what they want, and then be able to come to a happy medium between friends, family, children, partner, anyone, because once it filters in one space, it will filter in all these spaces.
Okay, so we often talk about self-love, but one of the things that's very difficult for anybody, humans, is to recognize their flaws, recognize those things in which may be holding us back, maybe hindering us, may have hindered us over the years. And so what's one of the things that you would say that you recognize most that was holding you back in these relationships, or settling for certain things, not just in your marriage, but any relationship?
For me, it was fear. Fear of being different. Fear of just speaking what it is that I wanted. I wanted to continue to please them and continue to make them happy. So I was afraid to say, well, he said or she said they want this and that, so I'm just going to go with the flow. Now it's okay, that's what you want to do, this is what I want to do, so how are we going to get to the same result of both of us being happy? And like I said, that filters in friends, my children, you know, because the children, they like their own things. They love their own things too. But it's really truthful. Again, it goes back to that skill of listening. To understand from their point of view, and in hopes that they're going to do the same for me. Is to listen as to, okay, well, all right, well, she didn't like that. She actually likes this.
Yes.
So that fear of just speaking up.
The other thing that comes to mind is, you know, it all looks glorified now. You learned your lesson. You think you're amazing now. You're strong. But what about when you was down in that valley? The days when you was faced with, you know, his really divorcing me. His second time around, his really divorcing me. How did that really look? Because you had those days of being in that valley.
I sure did. I sat and I reflected on me. I didn't look at what he did and what he wanted. And again, that's where it started. I just really started to look at, okay, what could you have done better? You know, and just took the ownership of the role that I played. And it didn't take me long because it's now the second time around, I guess. But it did look in that way. But again, I just always went back to self. I went back to me, like, okay, what is it for me? Like you said, I can't choose for him. He chose for himself. So I had to then choose for me.
Absolutely. The other thing is, let our viewers know that there will be days that you may want to just cry all day. There will be days when you feel like you don't feel like moving. You don't feel like coming out of your house. I mean, did you ever experience those days? I know many people do.
I sure did. It was amazing how it happened, because I ended up being home the day I got served. I wasn't supposed to be, but of course during this pandemic, it ended up where I was home. So when it did happen, like I said, I looked at it and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. I would just say, luckily, having my children who hugged and just told me that it's going to be okay, made it okay. Because I wasn't alone completely.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
also having God in my life, I wasn't alone.
I agree. So what's one of the things in which you would like to impart in your children as a result of these two experiences? And we don't want to say bad experiences, because they were experiences. All experiences is an experience, whether good, bad, or the other. But through your experiences, the first marriage and second marriage, you know, what's one thing you would really want your children to take away from this?
Well, what we talk about all the time is to know that they are good enough. And that's what I had to do, is look in the mirror and realize that who I am is who I am. And I am good enough no matter which way it goes. So it's just a matter of, like I said, the communication, the understanding, and understanding through their perspective. It's being able to take on somebody else's perspective. It helps in many ways, because if you're always going to think that it's your way, then it's not going to work.
Was there ever a time you say you was always able to wear a good mask? Nobody would ever know if something was bothering you. Was there ever a time throughout this second marriage to now, that process, where you recognize that, you know what, it's okay that I don't have this mask on?
That's exactly what happened. Like I said, it days when I wanted to cry, I cried. It days when I wanted to smile, I smiled. But the one thing that I know that I was not going to lose was my smile.
Yes.
And I knew that through those transitions, I'm not going to be the first and I'm not going to be the last. So what helped to get through it was those times. I would just go and sit off by myself. I do that now. Like, just go sit off at Clearwater and just listen to the water and just be by myself and reflect. So that's also what has helped me as well, is that just to continue to reflect on, you know, and earning my choices as I go.
Earning it. And with that being said, for all of you who may have experienced a divorce, 2, 3, or 4, know that you can get back up. And I think what's most important is that you get back up. And everybody has a different get up, right? And so with all of that being said today, I want to thank Miss Ball for taking out time to come in and just share with our viewers, because I know you have actually entered many homes tonight and you have opened a lot of women's eyes to say, oh my goodness, I can't get back up. And so I want to thank you for that, and I thank viewers for watching. And I just want to say thank you to all of those who helped make today possible. Crowned by Sam for my hair, Heather at Jam Beauty for my nails, Torine Bascom for my face, and all of those who continuously support me, Crimson Media, and my amazing mom, my amazing husband, and my children. And good night, Daddy. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.